All right, here we are, roadside rescue. Here's the car in trouble. Let's see if we can get this figured out. Welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and this morning we have a vehicle. It was actually on a previous episode a month or so ago, where we just found a problem in the mass airflow sensor wiring. Well, the gentleman had previously gotten the catalytic converter replaced, and he's still having some codes pop up related to that. So I think he ordered an O2 sensor. But basically, we're going to go over there, just kind of verify some things and see what we can figure out. I think he said there's a couple of codes, but he already ordered one O2 sensor, so I'm sure that means one of them is probably specific to that. We'll figure out if it needs it or not and see if we can get it all figured out. So here we go. All right, so here we are. You can see the car in the background. It has like 6 codes. I think his computer pulled up 3, but I'm getting like some random misfires, misfire on cylinder 3, and then I'm getting a lean code for bank 1, as well as an evap system code. So I might not be able to deal with that evap one. It looks like he has a new fuel tank cap. And so I'm not sure at this point if you remember, if you saw the previous video, we had replaced, well, we had fixed a wiring issue in the MAP sensor, or the MAF sensor, the mass airflow. It wasn't reading, and so this could be caused by a bad mass airflow sensor reading as well. So I'm just going to double check that live data. Then I'm going to double check what that bank 102 sensor is saying on the live data as well. So it's probably either that or something like a vacuum leak. And yeah, so I'll look around these volts. It's a Volkswagen Jetta, so they've just got a lot of plastic and rubber hoses that tend to develop leaks. So I'm leaning towards either one of those, and then possibly replacing that O2 sensor as well. But we'll look into that a little bit more with the live data, and then we'll look at that mass airflow as well and just make sure that we're getting correct air-fuel ratio. So we'll go over there and dig into it. All right, so first things first, on vacuum leaks, we'll do a visual inspection and look for any cracked hoses. Again, these Volkswagens just have a lot of hoses, so all around here they'll crack sometimes. So we'll look at everything, then we'll get it running and see if we can hear a vacuum leak, and then we'll look at that live data and see what that mass airflow sensor is saying. So I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but I can hear just a slight hissing coming from right around here underneath somewhere. So I don't know if it's this intake manifold here or if it is something below that, like where these hoses run. So I'm gonna dig around, but there's actually a trick I'm gonna do with some carb cleaner here. It doesn't work every time, mostly on bigger vacuum leaks, but you can spray carb cleaner gently around, and if you hit a spot where there's a vacuum leak, it'll make the engine rev higher, or a normal idle if it's idling really bad. So we'll try that and see if I can pinpoint it specifically to this area. Then I'll have to dig around and see if I can actually find that. Okay, that's super hard to tell. It's idling just barely rough. When I spray it here, then it idles fine until you can see this pretty much dry. And then it'll start to idle rough again, which now it started to do. So, you know, I'm thinking it's probably this intake manifold gasket, but again, I'm just gonna probably pull this little shroud and just check underneath here all these hoses and make sure, but I can hear it now. Right around here. Okay, so this is going to be a nice quick video. The live data checked out perfectly fine for that mass airflow sensor. The O2 sensor looks like it's fine, and it's most likely lean because we're getting too much air in the system, which is caused by that vacuum leak here. I can hear, again, I don't know if you'll be able to tell on camera because the sounds are probably going to get mixed. And then we're going to get him a quote to replace that intake manifold gasket. So we're not going to be doing that today. This is going to be a pretty quick video, but that's going to take care of everything for sure, except for that evap leak. Might possibly take care of that, but I'm doubtful of that. So at least it's going to take care of those random misfires. You know, I'd put money on it, but there's one way to tell. We'll fix it and then see what else comes back up. But it shouldn't be anything like an injector or anything like that, since I can hear that and it didn't have those issues before. Again, no guarantees, but we have to start with what we know. All right, so here we are. I just got that intake manifold gasket. This video is going to be all in one because here it is. We'll get up there and replace this intake manifold gasket, and it shouldn't be too hard. It actually looks like, I was telling the customer, it looks like it might be one of the simplest ones on a Volkswagen Jetta I've ever seen, so we'll see if I didn't shoot myself in the foot, but hopefully it is easy. All right, here we are, roadside rescue crew. Here's that vehicle that we worked on, diagnosed already. We're back up here. It's a few days later, and we've got this intake manifold gasket. So hopefully nothing crazy. It looks like this is actually pretty simple to get to. We've got the new gasket, so here we go. Just something else to know on these Volkswagens. If you ever have like fan problems, overheating problems, this little fuse block here tends to melt, like this wire coming from the alternator, and stuff will get overheated and melt right here. So just take a look at that. Common issue. Well, without further ado, here we are. Let's start getting into this. And just a shout out, just a huge thank you to viewers who have been sending stuff in. I mentioned in one video that I've always wanted a pair of these pliers. I've wanted one for like 2 years. I just haven't got one. I was thinking about getting one soon, and somebody sent me one because they heard me mention that. So I'm super grateful for anything anybody sends in. It's awesome. Thank you so much. So we are going to have to get under the fuel rail, and then it should be pretty straightforward. It's this gasket right here. So yeah. All right, here we are down to it. I've got the injectors out of the way. They're gonna need a bit of cleaning, and you always gotta grease those O-rings when you put them back in. A little bit of work's been done to it before because I did not remove this hose clamp, so somebody forgot to put that back on. But I mean, it's an older vehicle, to be expected, just not that little bumble. And then yeah, everything's out of the way. So I guess I do have to disconnect these hoses here and then flip these up out of one way or the other, and then we're down to this intake manifold. So I think I may be able to do it. I'll probably end up undoing this just to get it out of the way. But we're right here. We've got all these little bolts and one nut, 2 nuts, I guess, to take off. And then we can pull this out of the way and change that gasket. And something else to note is that this vacuum hose is like completely busted up here on the fuel rail to that little regulator. So I'm gonna replace this. I don't have woven reinforced. Well, it's not even woven. It has that little thing on the outside. I just have vacuum line, but it's gonna do better than that. So, and here we are. And here's the old gasket. Sometimes, and just sometimes, you can see where it was leaking. In fact, it may have been leaking right here. This one was so faint though, that makes sense. I can't really see it, but as well as you just want to check all the vacuum lines while you're under there. But here's the old gasket. We'll get the new one in and just double check all those lines since we have this intake loose. Okay, so you want to get the gasket surfaces nice and clean. Just a bit of dirt more to get there, and these are all clean. So that way, before you put the gasket on, that's all clean. Doesn't have any issues afterwards. Okay, do not forget to remove your rags. I think I've told this story before, but one time I went to a junkyard because I was looking for an intake manifold, and I found a brand new one, and I was like, oh cool, brand new. When I took it off, there was a red rag inside the engine someone had left there. So just double check you pull things out. And just take your time. There's no use in saving 30 seconds and rushing it to ruin your engine and, you know, have an extra 12 hours worth of work to swap an engine, and who knows however much you're going to pay for it. So just take your time. Okay, here's that vacuum hose that was all busted up, specifically right here. Maybe it wasn't leaking yet, but just busted up enough for me to say, okay, let's replace it. So replacement of that, just triple check everything, make sure you get all your little vacuum hoses back on under the intake manifold, but we'll replace this one. Okay, here we are. We just got done. Just triple check everything. That's the best time saving advice I could give before you head off. I've quadruple checked it all, made sure every connector that I touched is back in place. Everything's tightened down, so we should be good to go. We'll give it a test fire, but this is going to take some test driving. It's a lean code, so it's going to take, you know, a reset on that computer in order to tell if it's completely gone. So, you know, it was already running. I'll just listen for it to see if I can hear that vacuum leak, but I did fix 2 vacuum hoses that were just old and crumbly as well, so that should take care of it. There you have it. I'm Ernest. This is the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. We got that gasket replaced. It's running better now. I can't hear that vacuum leak. This is a job well done. We'll see you on the next episode. Any comments, leave them down below. Join the channel memberships if you want to support helping people fix their cars who can't afford it. The Fix It Forward program. I'll talk more about that in another video. And thanks for everything. We'll see you on the next episode.